Okay. Hello, everybody. Wow. What a week we've had. Packed with a lot of emotional highs and lows. Oh my goodness. What a week we've had. I can't say enough. Let me get it this straight. Let me put this straight. I am so exhausted with this week, emotionally and physically. Oh my goodness. I barely slept this week because of all this election business. It took a lot out of me. I cannot believe this happened in my lifetime. I am alive to witness it, to see all of it. It's amazing. Anyways, needless to say, I'm still excited. My emotions are all over the place, so forgive me if I swing from one to the next. But I need to introduce myself first. So my name is Esroda Aglago. Welcome to Love, Forgive, Live podcast. Today is Sunday, soon to be Monday because I'm doing this after 11 p.m. my time. So, I have realized something through this election. I think the nation, the United States, I have never been this invested or this interested and disinterested in an election year than this. When things were going down, especially with debates and talks, because I usually don't watch TV. I don't watch the news. I wait until I get little snippets from family and friends, and I read. I read books rather than listening to the news and all that, because it can't get you into a really toxic place, and the fear mongering and the strange rhetorics that you hear from left and right. I'm not going to mention any names because I don't think it needs to be. I'm not here to bash anyone. I'm not here to do anything of that nature. My presence here is to just speak on what I find interesting and I think is relevant in the grand scheme of things. Now, this episode is packed with a lot of information. Mostly, I'm going to talk about the election and then how it affected our family dynamic. Thank goodness my family, we are able to talk about what the election was about, likes and dislikes, and what issues were covered and what was not covered. We are able to talk about this calmly and not feel like we need to deck anybody. One thing I also found was that I realized people had very heightened emotions that got people very angry with one another. And I also saw a lot of camaraderie, of bonding based on which side of the election they were on, or which side of the parties they were on. One thing that surprised me was how passionate people were about their issues or who they were covering. I try not to get so passionate because I know it will only create a problem for me, because my emotions can get really all over the place sometimes if I'm very convinced and passionate about something. So I try not to put that into politics. I try to make sure that I'm gentle in absorbing that emotion so I don't absorb too much and just go in aggressively. Another thing I recognize about this election year is that it became a global phenomenon. Every country was invested in what was going to happen in this election. I have never had any more. Let me put it this straight. I have never had as many family members within the United States and outside the United States, contact me and talk about what they think and feel and what they're hoping, and pins and needles, worrying and not worrying, and of course coming up with ideas or thoughts of prediction and all that. I have never ever had that much interest. Heck, my mother even had a discussion with me about it, and I'm thinking, wow, that's awesome. My mom is discussing politics with me, and my daddy too. And so I have sisters, brothers, cousins, uncles, everybody just calling and saying what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and they're worried about us, they're not worried about us, and of course they watch the news religiously. I don't. I think that's what keeps me a lot more calmer than the rest, because I don't absorb too much of that. I barely do. The only time I'll probably catch wind of any news media is when I go to the kitchen to make something, and one of my family members is cooking something, or I'm in there cooking too, and then they have the TV on in the living room or in a family room. Then I might catch a glimpse for the short time I'm in the kitchen. So for me, when I'm there, I listen, but I try not to focus too much. So sometimes I'll have music playing or watching something on my laptop or on my phone to distract me from absorbing and focusing, because I know the kind of person I am. It's not healthy for me to be inundated with all the news. It's just not. To each his own. Anyone who wants to watch, that's on them. That's fine. I just don't. So yeah, people will call in and have discussions. And I found it very interesting that this has allowed me to see how people can get behind an ideal and swear by it and believe it is what it is to them. And it makes me wonder sometimes, wow, wouldn't it be nice if we could find some other cause to be this passionate about too? If we could be this passionate about other things that we come across in our world, wouldn't that be awesome? But yeah, I do understand this was a heightened emotional year, period. 2020 has been flagged with a lot of emotional highs. Not that are not, all good. A couple of them good, but we've had a lot of difficult things to deal with globally, let alone the United States. And we are still struggling with those issues. And we've come to a point where we are very hopeful, especially due to the election turnout, and especially with the voter turnout. I was really proud when I heard all the voters turn out. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. I have never voted, ever, in my life. So I voted this year, and you don't know how that feels. I'm sure others do, but to me, it was something. I don't know how to describe it. I don't have the words or the vocabulary to describe it. But one thing it did for me was, excuse me, I felt like I didn't have any influence as to the choices I was making, who I was choosing, and what I was allowing. It was just me and my thoughts and my intuition. And then I just chose. But after doing it, I felt a sense of, can I say, powered? I felt powered. I felt empowered. That's the word. I felt empowered. I felt like I had a say. I had a choice and I had a say in something significant. I don't know about you, but that's what I felt. And the thought stayed in my mind for a while. I remember driving home from where I voted, and I felt a sense of, wow. To be honest with you, this may sound funny, and anyone who wants to mock me, that's fine, but I'm just living my life. So here it is. I felt like a grown-up. I know. I literally felt like a grown-up. I was like, excuse me, I think I just grew up. Yes, I've been an adult for a very long time. But I just felt like I grew up. I felt like I was part of the process. And this created a sense of, can I say boldness in me? Like, yeah, I did. I don't know about you, but that's how I felt. And then I left it at that. Leaving it at that and not worrying about, oh, I wonder who will win. It didn't become too much of a problem for me. I think it was during this week it started dawning on me, like, oh my goodness, we're here. We're going to see how these votes are going to be counted and what's going to happen. And so it became something that I think I spent more time on than I expected. I started thinking. I did a lot of prayers and meditation. Oh boy. And yes, I do understand no matter who won, the system will still run, the same way, where I'll be able to get up in the morning, take a bath, take a shower, eat breakfast, work out, do, everyday life will be okay. And, you still work and pay taxes. That's going to stay. That's always going to be there. We still pay property taxes. We still pay tax for stuff we buy. But somehow this had a lot of life-altering decisions attached to it for a lot of people because of what our country has been going through for quite a while now. So realizing that, I thought, wow, this year in general will go in history, will go down in history as a very memorable time. Because could you imagine how many people have written about this in their journal? Young people and adults like me, and then people beyond my age group, seeing this, witnessing this. It's history. I don't care what side of the fence you are in or on. This is history in the making. And to understand that we are part of it, oh my goodness, what a year! What a year! It's amazing. We've had some roller coaster moments. Really roller coaster moments. So it's important for us to recognize what this means to all of us. I recognize I got a text from my uncle all the way from England, and he was saying, are you guys prepared for what is ahead? And I said, I'm not sure what is ahead, but I don't know how to even prepare for it because I don't even really know. What I do know right now is this: decisions have been made, and we know who the president is. And because we know who the president is, at least there's that clarity. The rest, don't know at all. and we just go on with our day as things unfold. But more importantly, I am still praying for the United States. And I know a lot of people are too. I'm not the only one praying for our nation, for this coronavirus to be taken care of, for our nation to begin healing from the divide and the pent-up emotions. I think it has taken a toll on all of us because we can't fight each other. We just have to work together and know that we are all part of the human race, no matter how we look at it. We are all part of the human race, and we are one. The sooner we realize this, the sooner we will be better able to work together, come up with a solution that would work for our nation, and create harmony, some type of harmony for our children and their children, because they're the ones who are going to see the results of what we do from this point on. They're the ones who are going to benefit from it or not benefit from it. Either way, the younger generations coming behind us are the ones we should really be worried about with whatever decision we make now to help our country heal and create harmony. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that's a very important thing for us to focus on. Okay, so I also recognize that there's a lot that has gone on too that people are not happy about. But I pray that those who are not happy about it will find peace. Because all I want and wish for and pray for is for us to win together, work together. So, congratulations to President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. I won't lie though. Yesterday was a tough day because that's when I found out. Okay, let me say how I found out. The way I found out was I went to a furniture shop, was talking to this furniture salesperson, and he was, I don't know what the conversation was, and he was like, oh yeah, it's been decided, the presidency has been decided. And I was like, really? And he's like, where have you been living? Where have you been living? Have you been living under a rock? And I was like, no, I don't watch the news, so I just wait for me to find out. And he said, you are not curious? And I said, not really, because it was too much for me. So I decided to just check out and wait for the whole thing to be over, and then I'll find out. Then he said, yeah, it was decided. And I was like, oh my goodness, thank goodness. Well, as soon as I got home, needless to say, I don't know what happened. The waterworks started happening. I started crying. Oh my gosh. I started crying. I cried and cried, and I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't expect myself to react this way at all. And I think, honestly, hearing that Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, female, and an African American, I think I didn't realize I had so much emotional, pent-up emotions about this. And so I cried. And I remember midnight, I was still bawling. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? So that was a surprise for me. And like I said, I am grateful for this time to be alive to see this and hear this in this lifetime. And the world also took notice and made their voice known about the whole situation. Anyway, so that's the end of me talking about politics. But it's been quite a ride. I don't know what is going to happen next, but it's been quite a ride. Now, today's topic, I will be discussing something that I think we all experience one way or the other. I don't care who you are. You have experienced this before. And what I'm talking about is this: hate. The feeling of hate. It is incredible. The feeling of hate is so intense. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to describe. First of all, the question is, what is the price of hate? I'll ask the question again. What is the price of hate? H-A-T-E. Hate. And before I describe or go into what is the price of hate, of you hating someone or some idea, I'm going to define hate. So what is hate? Hate is a feeling. Okay. A feeling intense or passionate dislike for someone. Hate can cause anger or resentful emotional response, which can be used against certain people or ideas. And according to this researcher, or let me just say his name, according to Robert Steinberg, there are three main elements of hate. One is negation of intimacy. Negation of intimacy. Now, negation of intimacy is this. Is by creating separation or distance where closeness is seen as threatening. So that's the first element. The second element is this. An infusion of passion such as fear and anger. The third element is a decision to devalue something that was previously valued. The third one is a decision to devalue something that was previously valued. These are the three elements. So here's the thing. What is the price of hate? Because it's an intense feeling, the person doing the hating is the one hurting the most. Even though your hate is directed at someone or an idea, the person who is being harmed the most is yourself. The individual who is doing or creating that hate is the one hurting themselves, not the person you're hating. You might believe the object of your hate is the one that feels it the most, but it's actually you. Because you're the one who is spending your emotion, an intense emotion. Could you imagine how intense that emotion would be for you to act on? Okay? Resentfulness is also a negative emotion that will rob you of a great experience in your life with people or with jobs, anything that you're doing. Resentfulness will create pain for you. That's the price you're paying for hate. With hate, you begin to lack or create lack of closeness with an idea or the person you're with. And when you find someone getting close to you, being friendly with you, because you just hate them, could you imagine how much work you take to make sure that they don't get close? You start creating this facade that you're actually protecting yourself. But it's not real. Because in the end, you're the ones who's hurting. You. That's the price of hate. And when you make a decision, something that you used to hold value to or used to cherish, and decide to devalue that person or that idea or object, it's a decision that you made. Henceforth, that is the real cost and price of hate. In the end, you're the one harming yourself, not the other. Because the other person doesn't even know you hate them. And when you hate them, I promise you, they go to sleep just fine. They don't even know that you hate them. And sometimes even if you tell them or they know, they don't care. But you may be the one devising a plan because you hate someone. You go away and be thinking, how can I hurt that person? How can I do this? Hate costs you energy that you don't need to lose. Hate makes you regret doing what you would do out of that hate or out of the resentfulness. It is important to recognize this so that you can begin to make the right choices for yourself. Because when you understand the price of hate, I promise you, you really think twice before you decide to do so. I'll give you an example. Imagine being with a group of people. They don't know that you don't like them or you hate them. And you walk in there, or they walk along and see you and they're all trying to talk to you. Could you imagine how much work you have to do avoiding contact with any of them, avoiding any closeness, avoiding anything to do with them? I don't know about you. I don't have that energy to waste on hate. I remember in high school, a friend of mine was so angry she hated somebody. And every time she would see the person walk by, she would snicker at them. She would turn her back to the person, to the detriment of her not paying attention in the classroom, because she didn't even want her eyes to even see the back of that person, because she sat behind the person that was in class. And I was like, wow, this is a lot of energy. And then I remember the teacher would be calling the person's name. Hey, turn around and look at the board. And she would work so hard to avoid her eyes looking at the back of that person. Sometimes she would exchange desks with other people so she wouldn't have to even have the peripheral vision even notice that person. The person sat at the same spot every single day. Never changed spot. And my friend was working so hard, she would move from here to there, and then she would say stuff, and I would just look at her and I would laugh. Sometimes a person will walk in, what they're wearing, the clothes they're wearing may not be something that she likes. Then she'll be saying things about it. And I'll be quiet and looking at her, and I'm like, oh my goodness, my friend is just, she's working too hard. But as a teenager, what am I going to do? She wouldn't listen to me anyways. But I just look at the whole situation and I would laugh. And the worst thing was when we would go to prep rally. Oh my goodness. Prep rally was a tough thing because the person was an athlete. So we know that person is going to be called. And the rest of the school is going to start clapping. And I'm watching my friend and I was like, wow. And sometimes when people start clapping and the person and rooting the person's name and who they're, making all the noise, I watch my friend. Instead of making the noise too, I just watch her and I just laugh. Because she's turning her back again. And then, putting her jacket on and folding her arms. And it just, you could see her veins popping in her neck. Because she's that consumed. And I would watch. One day, I decided to have a conversation with her about it. She said, you don't know. You have never hated anyone, so you don't know how it feels like. And I was like, you're right. I don't. But I'm watching you and I'm seeing you're working too hard. And she said, because I can't stand them. And I was like, well, you realize the person doesn't even know that you're doing it? She said, I don't care. Because guess what? The person you're spending your time and your energy on hating, that person has no clue. And even if they do, they don't care. Like I said, they don't care. They walk away about their life, do them. And here you are stuck. So next time you want to hate someone, please consider this. Is that person worth my energy and my time? Is that person worth my comfort and the toxic nature I'm bringing into my own life and the toxic energy I'm bringing to my own life? Is that person worth that much for me to hate? That will give you a clue. It'll give you an answer that no. And here's the thing. When you make a decision to hate someone, understand you're wasting your time. That person is going about their business, doing their thing, doing them. And each moment you waste on them, you're losing your time of creating, your time of being kind to one another. And realizing that there's more to life than spending it on frivolous things like hate. Because it doesn't benefit you or anything, it gives you nothing. It robs you of your time, your energy, your peace of mind. And your creativity. Nothing gets done. Okay? Next week, I will talk about the opposite of that, which is love. It's one of my favorite subjects, love. I will discuss that. So I hope this was helpful to whomever needed this. Consider the price of hate before you make a decision to hate an idea or someone. It's not worth it for you at all. It's a thief that robs you of your peace of mind, your energy, and everything else, and time. Another thing I want to talk about is just a simple story. I remember growing up and something happened. I don't know what it was. I forgot exactly, but I remember what my dad told me. I came from school and I was angry about something. And my dad said, "What is it? You frowned your face so much. You're too young to have lines forming in your face or across your forehead." I was so angry. And I walked in and my dad said, "What is it?" And I was like, "Nothing." He said, "See, anytime you tell me nothing, there's something big. What is it?" And then I was like, "Oh, yeah, now I remember this situation." I told him that somebody had bullied me at school. And at this rate, I had never understood the point of the bully. And at the time, I wanted to know what was the point. But he said it didn't matter why the bully decided to bully me. So I came home angry, frowning, wouldn't speak to him, kept saying it was nothing. And he could see my eyes had so much venom, like I wanted to crush somebody. And he said, "Oof, do you need a boxing glove?" And I was like, "No." He said, "Okay. You need to talk about it?" I'm like, "No, nothing." Then he said, "Okay, so you got angry with somebody at school. And you have come home and you're being mad at me? I didn't do anything to you." And I'm like, "I'm not mad at you." Then he said, "But look how you're talking to me." "No, nothing." And being rude. And you've got your arms crossed. You're breathing heavy every second. And he's like, "All that heavy breathing and all that, let it out and talk about it. Tell me what it is." So he's like, "Have you realized I didn't even know who the person that was the person who was bullying you is? But now you've come home and you're making me nervous. You're this angry and I don't know what you're going to do and you don't want to talk about it." This is how hate festers in your environment. If you're not able to get rid of it, because I was so angry and hateful about the person that bullied me, I brought it home. And my poor dad was trying to figure out how to help the situation and make me calm down. But I was so busy hating that person, I couldn't even understand what he was saying. Finally, it took probably about an hour or more. And he kept pestering me. My dad kept pestering me. And eventually, I told him what happened. And he said, Did you recognize that person that decided to hate on you and bully you was just showing you how bad they were feeling inside. And that took me, wait, what? And he said, yeah, if somebody comes at you like that, they're not coming at you because of you. You just happen to be the one there at the time. If somebody else had come, they would have hated on them too. Because there's something that's making them feel that way. So they decided to check you out as the one to hate and bully you and make you miserable. So now you decided to believe that and then started hating. So next time this happens, take the time to think about that. That rocked my world for a second because I was like, whoa, I didn't expect to hear that. So my dad started teaching me really early, and I understood that, and it became a lifelong lesson for me to not engage in that. Anyways, today was interesting, and next week we'll talk about love. Thank you for listening. My name is Sroda Aglago. Those of you who want to write to me, ask any questions, comment if this helped you or not, and if this was empowering, fun, whatever way you may take it, contact me at loveforgivelive@gmail.com. That's spelled LUV, as in Victor, the number 4, give, GIVE, live, LIVE, at gmail.com. Let's have a chat. Let me know what you think. Those of you who are listening via YouTube, subscribe, like, let us know at Love, Forgive, Live. I appreciate your time. And of course, those who are listening on Spotify, like and follow us. And on Twitter, like and follow us. And everywhere else that you can hear me. Thank you. And those who have been loyal listeners, I appreciate you. This has been fun. Let's do this again next week. Have an awesome week. And I think this week I will sleep a little better and have an amazing time. Okay?